welcome to another episode of Feminine Scope, a program where we discuss issues affecting women, celebrating their triumphs and seeking ways to solve their challenges. I am Amanda Ezekwe. Disability is any condition of the body or mind that makes it more difficult for the person with a condition to do certain activities and interact with the world around them. A research by the United Nations has shown that 1 in 5 women live with disability. These women with disabilities experience double discrimination, which places them at higher risk, such as age discrimination, sexual orientation, status as a parent, sexual harassment. It can be direct or indirect. Non-inclusion has been a major challenge for these women who has the talent and strength, but are not allowed to participate because of their situation. Has the society been fair to them? How can they be included? How can their voices be heard? These and many more will be our focus on Feminine Scope today. My guest, the founder, We Are Special Foundation, an NGO that advocates for the inclusion of persons with disabilities. You'll get to meet her after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Feminine Scope, and today we'll be discussing ability in disability, the inclusion of women with disabilities. My guest is the founder, We Are Special Foundation, an NGO that advocates for the inclusion of persons with disabilities, Shamsiyyah Umar. You're welcome, Shamsiyyah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So we're talking about women, disabilities, inclusion. How did this all start for you?
Okay, it started when I was just 11 years old. I wasn't born with any disability, but unfortunately it happened. I had an accident. And growing up, facing a lot of stigmatization, lack of service delivery in our country, it hit me one day that I should start an advocacy to help persons with disability. Because I was fortunate to have access to a lot of things, but you could see a lot of people struggling to move on with their lives with that disability, and a lot of them get stigmatized. That's why in our foundation, sorry to say, we focus more on the kids, early intervention, where you get to teach your children the love of persons with disability, their talents, what they can do, so that we can reduce stigmatization in our society.
But most times, you mentioned early intervention. Does it affect it, as the kids are growing, if it's not looked into at that age? Because sometimes some parents don't even know what's going on, and the economic situation of the country causes it. So how do you go about helping parents to go for early intervention when it has to do with their kids?
That's why the advocacy comes in. We don't just cover schools. We cover parents and even parents with special needs, the caregivers of kids with special needs. We tend to tell our parents that this is how you're supposed to train your children towards these people. That's why, to mention, in February on Children's Day, we created this avenue whereby kids and parents with special needs and those without or any kinds of disability will come together, harmonize, and then we celebrated their talents, because you could find out that most of the kids are good at painting, drawing, shoemaking, entrepreneurship skills that other kids do not even have access to. So that's why we drew the attention of these parents so that they could come and see how they are supposed to intervene in the children's activities, etc.
From research, it's been said that women have a higher rate of disability. How true is this?
I wouldn't say women have a higher rate of disability, but rather women are more neglected in terms of inclusion. Because to my own findings and my own statistics, though I work more with women and female girl child with disability, but I tend to find out more men are on the streets than women. because part of what we do in the foundation is empowerment of persons with disabilities, most of them who are on the streets, because times without number you get to see this myopia thinking of people that persons with disability just beg on the streets. So we tend to bring them out of the streets through entrepreneurship skills. And then through our net analysis, we got to find out that more men are out on the streets, but women are neglected because things like this, you don't get women to come and participate in activities, in
Why?
entrepreneurship. We would say because of lack of inclusion, not for persons with disabilities, but lack of inclusion in women in activities that and things that are supposed to help them be productive in the society.
So now you're talking about women being neglected. In what way? How has gender affected disability?
Okay, the primary thing I can tell you, I can start with rather, is the fact that women in our society are taken to be people who are just supposed to be married, have kids, and just stay at home. So, women with disabilities find it difficult to get men that want to marry them in the first place, thinking you're adding more responsibility
To them.
Yes. Because imagine marrying a woman with a physical challenge. You be the one to take care of her rather than her taking care of you. So that's where the neglect starts from. And then if you don't have this confidence that you have someone to marry you, where would the confidence come in that you can do productive things and still be heard by the society?
So that's where self-esteem comes in.
Self-esteem, exactly. That's where it comes in. Because I held a program with few women, and I went back to do a monitoring and evaluation. And then I got to find out that even if you empower them, they don't participate in those entrepreneurship skills. They don't sell. You can go as low as empowering them in soap making, little skills, soft skills. But they don't sell. They'll be like, who will buy from me? You understand?
They're already giving up on themselves.
Yes, they've already given up on themselves. And this is the result of stigmatization in our society because of the way people look at them. And then they look down on themselves too, because as much as we say self-esteem comes from within rather, it's take a lot of advantages when people help you grow. And when people are not willing to help you grow, then your self-esteem dies in.
So how has it been for you? You weren't born disabled, and now you are in their community. How has that made you feel?
At first, I didn't feel the changes because I was so young, and I just grew from house to school, though I had to change multiple schools because I was avoiding how people think or see me and how people treated me rather. I was just from home to school, but when I had the heat was when I went to the university. I applied for Ahmadu Bello University, even though my parents did not want me to go as far from them because they provided everything for me. But then when I went to school, it was so difficult for me. If you know ABU Zaria, you know the distance from Northgate to Faculty of Social Science. I was going through that for weeks, and as a student of international relations, you have to take at least one international language. You have to go from one faculty to another to take that course. And it was really difficult, and I had to change series of friends because I felt I didn't belong in. That was when people started to show me that I was different from them, because I would be friends with this one, and next thing you hear people talking behind your back, or some would even face you to your face and tell you you're too local for them to hang around with. You're so taxing, the responsibility is
like
too
they tell
much.
you to your face.
Yeah, they tell you to your face, a lot of them. So that's when it hit me. And another thing was the fact that I stay in Caro, and obviously we have motorbikes and tricycles around. And one day, I tried to cross the road, and the bike man almost hit me, and he was like, he said it in Hausa, I would repeat it and translate. Kid Allah tashma ahanya good guanna. Meaning, I just get out of the way, you just crippled lady. And then he hit me. I was sad actually for a while. And then series of things kept happening that made me realize that, okay, you have to fight for yourself at this moment. Even though a lot of people see me as this person who has so much strength, I had to increase because I might not feel physical pains. I hardly cry on physical pains, but I am a very emotional person. Words hits me a lot of times, so I had to groom myself to grow up for it. But then one of the reasons, again, that I started this foundation, if I could scale through this stigma, if I was strong enough to pass, if I was strong enough to be where I am today, what about people who don't have this enough strength in them to scale through? And that's why we started this movement, so that we could support them in whatever way we can. It mustn't be financially, it can be word of advice. We introduced a grief and trauma counseling where we can talk to people on the streets, people who are victims of gender-based violence and even sexual violence, because during COVID we reported a lot of cases on sexual violence on women with disabilities who had no homes. So that's what we do basically, and I now feel proud to call myself a person with disability. Before, I hated it when you call me in Hausa again Gurgua.
Yes, I wanted to ask you that question. When was the light bulb moment for you, when you told yourself, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, I'll be myself?
When I was able to do things away from home myself, I did very well, not to be proud of, in my academics. And you would see those people talking about you, coming back to you, so that you could actually teach them a lot of things. So I was like, since they are coming back to me, that means I'm better off. I'm better than them in so many ways. Then I decided to harness the talents I had, few talents, like cooking, entrepreneurship talent. I was doing so well, I was making sales, etc. So that was the moment I felt, I'm no different from you. I'm even better than you, so I can do whatever it is
you want.
I want to.
So what is the challenges of people living with disabilities, especially for women? What are the major challenges? Because you've mentioned some while we're talking, but what are the major challenges? Like when you graduated and decided to go job hunting, were you able to get a job? Did people look at you differently?
People still look at you differently. They will always do that. Except if, I don't know, a miracle happens in this part of the country.
Because they feel you can't
yes,
give.
they feel you're incapable of doing it. There's this word I hate so much. I'm sorry to use that word. But I feel this rage within me when you say you pity me. I don't like being pitied. So the moments when you feel, okay, I need to do this to this person because I pity that person, not because the person is capable, that's when the whole challenge starts from. That's where the problem starts from. Looking at employment, even though the bills have been passed, they've increased the amount of years persons with disability can stay in a job, maybe 65, they increased from 65 to 70, I'm sure of that. But then, do they have access to the jobs? That's what you ask yourself. Do they have access to the jobs? Go around the ministry, how many percent of persons with disability do you have? Go to agencies, how many percent of the persons with disabilities do you have? And there are a lot of them, or rather, I would probably say a lot of us, who are graduates, who are capable, who have the knowledge, but still, there's no employment because, okay, we are taking, the evaluation is done for everyone, and then you just see maybe 1% of persons with disabilities because they still feel we are not capable. And then streamlining to a woman, I would also say part of the challenges and difficulty draws down to service delivery in our country, because it's so difficult for me in school, and I still have to draw an example from one of my classmates who was visually impaired and he was using wheelchair. Going up to the lecture hall was so difficult for him. We didn't even graduate together because he had to be different semesters. So what are our government doing about those building structures? Yes. What are they doing based on transportation? Because even the train station we are so happy that we have now, if you go to Idu train station, once the elevator is crowded, you have to take the staircase.
That brings me to the implementation.
Yes.
In January 23rd, 2019, a bill was passed. What has the progress been from then till now?
I wouldn't say I've seen any progress personally. Maybe that's that I'm not aware of. But from my research and from my work, I've not seen much progress. Because those structures have already been approved. And where the problem starts from is before you approve those structures, you have to look into its architecture. Is it convenient for everyone to use? Still going back to the train station, go to their toilets. Where you see toilets of persons with disabilities, that's where they store their mops and brooms. Sincerely, like there's a lot that needs to be done based on service delivery. Go to buildings, even if it's not a company owned by Nigeria, at least before you give them approval, check through their structures. Because people in Nigeria are the ones that are going to be using those structures. Make it easy for the physically challenged, not just physically challenged. I boarded the train one time with a mother that has a special needs child. Obviously, you know how persons with autism or cerebral palsy really behave. Still, the elevator was crowded and she needed to use the staircase. Imagine how she struggled going up to the staircase, coming down. You know, you have to go up and come down again. And the child was misbehaving. He was shouting.
Restless.
He was very restless. Thank you for correcting me. He was very restless. So what are you doing to make it easy for those kids? Even if you're not going to consider persons with physically challenged, at least they have a upper hand. What about kids with special needs? What about the visually impaired person?
Now, for women, do you think if a physically challenged woman can ever be elected into, government, like through politics?
I'm positive, because that's where everything comes from within. If you have this high amount of positivity that things could happen. But I saw a woman who contested for Kaduna State and didn't win. Even though I saw a lot of potentials in her, I was very optimistic that she was going to win the election. She missed my event in May because she was there during the primaries because it's coincided on the same day. And to my greatest surprise, she didn't win. It was so sad and still saddens me that she didn't get elected. But hopefully, when people are more aware, when we keep advocating that persons with disabilities are as equal as any other person, and they can do anything. They can take the world beyond what anyone has done. Because you feel this range in you, you feel this hyperactiveness, if I may use you feel the strength in you that you want to do certain things. That's why if you are focused on doing a particular thing, you're focused on doing it and you do it better.
Do you think women can go further in the society? Because in all honesty, society has not been fair to them.
Yes.
Women with disabilities, do you think they can go far if they push? How long do you think it can take?
The time range is what I cannot guarantee. But eventually, I know it will happen. Because it is one thing to be aware, and it is another not to be aware. But when women are aware of their capacities, what they can take, what they can do, and when people are aware of what they can do and what they can take, then it's a starting point.
What do you think has been, withholding the implementation of this? Because we can't say we don't have the wherewithal to do all this. What has been stopping the implementation from progressing? Is it that people don't fight for this, or is it that there is not enough awareness?
I would say there's no enough awareness, because if you stop a layman on the streets now and ask him about stages of disabilities, or if you stop a layman and ask him what a person with disability can do, they won't be able to tell you. That's why we've been concerned about taking them off the streets, because the thinking, what they have in their mind is that persons with disability belong to the streets and they cannot do anything. They need to be helped. Yes, to a large extent, you need to be helped. Imagine being pushed by a wheelchair. If you cannot afford the one that moves around by yourself, you need to be helped. But that's where our humanity comes in. That's where it plays in. Showing humanity to help someone, showing concern about someone, it's totally fine. But then you need to know that this person you're helping navigate the road, this person you're helping push through the wheelchair can do better than you. So I think more awareness can, and it has been for so long that a lot of policies have been in place, but the implementation is hard. I don't know what is actually the problem with the Nigerian system, but when you keep advocating, when you keep pushing out this word out there, and you create awareness to even a common man that you can stop on the road, when you can do that, I think that's when everything will be in play.
Why do you think you're in their community now? So why do you think people just assume that people living with disabilities are beggars, or they are not capable of doing things themselves? Because that's the first thing that comes into the mind of someone who is, physically fit. Okay, I remember some time ago, someone told a story. A man, he's blind, but he was using his walking aid. And all of a sudden, somebody just came to him, and he was actually going to work. Somebody came to him and gave him money. And he told the person, I'm not begging for money. It shocked him. And by the time they had a conversation, they found out that the man is even a top management staff in one of the media organizations. So why do people have that notion when they see someone that is physically challenged?
This example you just used has happened to me several times.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't pay attention on what I wear. I just wear anything comfortable for me. I go out. And you see a lot of people stopping you, most especially in the market. When you go to, say, markets, you see, like, maybe people that feel they are comfortable or wealthy trying to give you 500. They think you're begging. And that's why I didn't stop my advocacy, because it is how they feel. Another thing is, if you're not too comfortable, like I said the other time, I was opportune to have help from people around me. I had a very supportive parents and siblings, but you tend to find out that most of these people do not have people to help them around them. They don't have this much comfort.
Like support, family support.
Yes, family support, financial support. And thus, they need to go out, even not just begging. I have someone I covered a series on. He's blind, visually impaired, but he sells pure water in Jabi Park. You understand? So because he doesn't have much money, he doesn't have support from people, he has to fight for himself. So even if they are not begging, people tend to think they are begging on the street. And most of them, I know begging is not a good thing, but that's their source of livelihood. And because they beg on the streets and they don't have that financial support, a lot of people think that every person with disability you see on the streets is a beggar. And
are there women groups that advocate for women with disabilities?
there are a lot of them.
How can they create awareness for people to know? Because someone might just be listening to this and hearing this for the first time.
Yes. I was at an event, sorry, I won't mention, a few months back, and I told a friend, this is not what we are supposed to be doing here. Because it's like an event that gathered people, women with disability, who are already aware of these problems we have. Why don't you kick off the streets? Let a lot of them know about it. Because when you keep having event seminars just within the cycle, then you are not creating awareness. You're just talking for yourself. I know a large number of associations, even my own in foundation included, have done a lot of activities, maybe to create awareness to the government, yes. But as soon as you are reaching out to the government, you also need to reach out to people that you are fighting for, because a large number of them are not aware, they don't know. They feel the only way they can get money is by begging on the streets. So as you are going to the government for this particular bill to be implemented, you go out on the streets, you need to go to houses. There are a lot of them that don't even go out. They are indoors. You need to go create awareness, let them know. That's why each event you carry on, you have to go back and do an evaluation.
And that's economically is not so easy. So how do you go about it? Who funds it, logistics wise?
That's why we are called NGOs. We are non-governmental organization. We operate basically, and we rely on funds we get from other organizations and even international organizations who are really helpful lately to most NGOs. That's how you basically get the funds. But these funds are not enough. You mustn't reach out to everyone financially. Everyone financially. You have to create other means you can reach out to certain people. Like I said, the grief and trauma counseling. Talk to these people. There are a lot of them who are educated that wouldn't want to go and seek for a job because they feel they won't get the job. Talk to them, encourage them to go and seek for those jobs. You don't always try to give people money or empower them with soft skills. There are a lot of things you could do to them to help them harness their talents and harness what they are into, and even do productive things with their lives.
Some of these things, like this, some of the women that are disabled, what are the stages of disability? Because obviously some cannot do what others can do, and in different capacities. So what are the stages?
Okay, it comes in two ways. One is self-awareness, when you're aware of what you can do and what you cannot do. Secondly is when people tend to help you know what you can do and what you cannot do. There are a lot of women, that's why there's this thing we call a fish tank analysis. It's not every fish that go out of the sea that you can take back, but you can take as much as you can, a large number of the fish back to the sea. You identify those who are self-aware of their talents and then know how you can help them improve. Those who need help too, you can start gradually by telling them this is what you're capable of. You can use yourself as an example. That's why if you go out to reach out to other people, they would want to see within you there's someone who has achieved a lot. Some of my members are physically challenged, and I love going out with them because I would love to tell someone that has similar problem with you, this, I'm not trying to compare you in a bad way, but this is what this person has been able to achieve with us or without us. So you can also do better. Let me know what you can do and what you can do. Let me know your restrictions.
Motivating them.
Yes, motivating them. Let me know your restrictions. Let me know what you are capable of doing. Then we can work towards that. And that's how you reach out to those women. Because if I would tell you that you can reach out to everyone, I'm lying to you. But you can reach out to a large number, a reasonable number, by knowing what they can do and introducing new things to those you feel they don't have any talent.
Ability and disability. We'll be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll be throwing more light on how these women can be included. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite. This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television Star Times Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, and UHF Channel 38.
If you're just joining us, welcome back. We've been discussing ability in disability, the inclusion of women with disabilities. And I still have my guest with me. Shamsiyyah, we're back.
Thank you so much.
Before we went on a short break, we're talking about how women can be included and the stages of, disability. Now, you have been going on school outreaches, reaching out to the younger ones, especially the female children. Do you think parents have been supportive to these children, especially the girl child that is disabled?
I would tell you a lot of parents have not been supportive. For my own case, I know I'm here because my parents have been very supportive. You could find a child. I met someone who told me she was interested in poetry because I write poems sometimes. I'm not a constant poet. But she was thinking if her parents would allow her write poetries and even do be a spoken word artist. I was even recommending shows she could attend. Yes. I even went as far as reaching out to a friend. Maybe we could shoot a video of her and stuff like that. She idolizes Alhan Islam. And I told her, you can be like Alhan Islam. If I had the means to reach to her, I would, and you would meet her. But then she was like, my mommy will not agree, my daddy will not agree. They will say, what will I use poetry and do? I will need to do productive things with my life. But this is her talent. And a lot of parents are not aware of the talents their kids have.
But sometimes don't you think that parents are doing this out of fear? Okay, citing your own example, you were very stubborn. Even when they told you not to step out, you'll still go out.
Yes.
Then things were a bit better.
Better,
But
yes.
we know how our society is today. Don't you think it's out of fear that these parents are trying to be very protective of their children?
I would tell you, some of them is out of fear, and some of them is out of what would the society say. Because, like I said, I've met a lot of them. I have interacted with some parents.
So which of them has the higher percentage? What will people say?
What
or
would
fear?
people say has the higher percentage? And that's where the ignorance comes in. Where would a blind girl start reading poetry and be on TV? Where would a girl in wheelchair start maybe tailoring and be on TV? They hide those kids from even their environment. So how would they go out? How would they harness their talent? How would they go out of the world? Yeah, some people are protective of their kids rather, but not all. That's why I always share my story. I tell them how I was stubborn. So if you can be stubborn in a productive way, and if you know your parents will understand, and they will help you through. I use the example of how I changed schools, how I was supposed to go to a nearby school and I applied ABU.
Without your parents
Without
knowing?
my parents knowing.
When they found out, how did they feel? They were shocked.
They were shocked and furious because my mom always calls me this power girl. So she wasn't too bothered as my father was, because as of then he felt I couldn't do anything. There was this way he was seeing me as if not being capable, but he was concerned. And then to let you know that I'm the first female child with a master's degree in my house.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So you could see that there are a lot of things you can do yourself. You can talk to your parents, like what I told the girl I met. Talk to your parents, let them know this is what this is doing to you. This is what you're passionate about. When you do this, this is how far you can go. And then do not disappoint them, because it's one thing for you to encourage your parents about what you want to do, and it's another thing for you to succeed.
And follow up what you said you'll do.
I was in ABU, but I read a hell out of my life so that I can make good grades and my parents will be proud of me, because I told them I was capable. So I need to show results. I was going to libraries. I had a group of friends who could do discussions with. I was reading all through. 1 minute I'm doing the other thing. The next minute I'm reading. When it's time for exams, I don't even look at my laptop. I don't watch movies. I focused and concentrated. And I graduated with a good grade. So if you want to walk your parents towards this path that you are capable, then you have to show them results.
So coming to the government, what advice will you give the government, and what should be implemented? Being a person living with a disability, now you go to a hospital, there is no ramp for people with wheelchairs to move. What are other things you feel government should implement, even in the banking hall? Because most times the wheelchair can't enter the security door. So what should the government do? How can they implement these things? Are there laws to charge people who don't keep to the law?
The laws we have basically are on discrimination against persons with disability, which unfortunately this discrimination is still on. So the government needs to work harder on this part, because like I mentioned earlier, public places you could go, they're supposed to make provisions. Talking about the ramp, not all hospitals have it. Though some agencies you could find it, but you have to make it compulsory that every other agency should, every other government parastatals should, any other public places, fun centers, parks. There should be provisions for this to ease their movement. And then another thing is on job creation and job availability. Yes, there are few jobs in the country, but make sure a large number of persons with disability have jobs. I myself have applied for countable number of jobs. I still don't have a job, but I derive satisfaction from what I do.
Is it that they see you and they don't offer you a job, or when they find out you are living with a disability?
Not a government agency. I would cite an example of this private company. I submitted my CV. They asked me, are you a computer literate? I said, are you good at Microsoft Word? Yes, I told them it's on my CV, you can see it. They tested me. Yes, I could. The next thing, are you sure you can cope with the stress of this firm?
How did that make you feel?
I laughed, obviously, because when you keep hearing this continuously, it doesn't affect you anymore. So it doesn't affect me anymore. And I'll just look at you as this person who is an illiterate. Yes, you're an illiterate on this particular thing. You need to be literate on it. So I just smiled, and guess what? I didn't get the job. I didn't get a call back. And I just put it at the back of my mind, oh, it's one of those things. So we really have to look into things like this. Because if I was someone who gave up, I would have given up by now. Submitting CVs here and there and getting questions like this and never getting the job. A lot of people, I'm very sure, have given up. So we need to really work on that. We need the government to aid persons with disability on these areas that I've mentioned earlier.
The 5 years window of implementation will soon be over. What next?
It's a tough one.
Yes, because we've not even seen the implementation happening. So now that the 5 years window that was given is about to go, are we starting all over again?
I guess so. And
How?
I pray we never relent. I pray we don't lose our strength, the strength we have to keep pushing. Because, like I mentioned, I've been mentioning it, it's one thing to make policy, but implementation is very poor. It's very poor. And that's why we keep creating awareness. And I would really applaud for programs like this. We need to be on shows like this to be taking our words out there. Because you never know who is watching, you never know who is seeing. Yes.
What advice would you give NGOs who are creating awareness for this? Because it's like they're not going into places they need to go into.
I would really advise on partnership and collaborations with like minds. Because I am this one person that believes one person cannot do it alone. You need community of people. I've always needed friends around me to soar. Not that they help me through what I do, but I need to hear opinions of different people. Then I correlate it to make it one. So if NGOs like this could collaborate together, because the lapses we get is most NGOs, everybody is looking at his own foundation, what my organization has done, how far my organization has gone, you understand? But what you really need to look out is what we have done as organizations, the impact we've made. So I would really advise more of partnership and collaborations with like-minded organizations and foundations to work towards this.
Now, to the parents of the girl child who is living with disabilities, what would you tell them to do?
I would tell them to encourage their kids. I would tell them to have faith. I would tell them to trust them. because I know what trust have done to me. I was given a first-hand trust and I didn't disappoint. So I would really want our parents to know that we are capable and we are willing to do more.
Just with the girl child or generally?
In general, because that's where all the problems start from. When some parents get too scared to allow their kids to do certain things.
Especially the girl child?
Yes. And when they don't trust their children enough, you have to, within you, trust your child. You have to know, even at a very early age, you know what your child can do and what he cannot do. Forget about society, forget about what people think, forget about what people would say. What do you feel within you that your child can do? What do you feel within you that your child is going to do?
Sometimes don't you think that culture plays a major role with these things?
It does.
And how can this be helped? Because we have some of these people or these female children who live in the villages. How can they be reached? How can their parents be encouraged to let them achieve their goals as women?
I can tell you, somewhere not far, as close as Kaduna, there was one time we went for an outreach and the parents told us they were not interested.
What was the reason?
It wasn't even just basically on persons with disability, because we were not sure of how many people we could find in that community. We just went for a general outreach. But then they told us they were not interested. That, they've seen many of us that have come and gone.
So give a general advice to the society, because this is where the problem starts from, when they look down on others. So what would you tell the society to do when it comes to staying around people with disabilities, especially women? Because women are underrated.
I would, because I pay very key, or rather I pay good attention about things and events that happen. Coming down here, I met someone. She was, when I just got out of the car, she was just willing to help me. Can I take your bag? I was like, no, thank you. I'm okay. And then things like that. It's not a sign of pity, but you could see that is awareness, is a willingness to help. She wasn't pitying me, but she felt it was the right thing to do. And in a society where I mentioned, where you find people that don't have the sense of humanity in them, then there's definitely going to be a lot of wrongs. But then when you have a society where everyone is concerned about things that are happening around them, people at their environment, what affects them, I think we'll go a long way. Not just even in persons with disability, look at it in general. You live in an area whereby someone throws dirt from his house down to your house because he feels he cannot pay a little token for it to be taken down. So a lot of things, when you're concerned about your environment, when you're concerned about people around, then you grow this sense of humanity, this urge to help, this urge to feel that this person is capable, whereby when you see this person doing certain thing, you won't feel surprised. You will know that, yeah, it is this person, I know she can do more than this. This is what we need to create in our minds as individuals.
We sincerely appreciate you for coming today on the show, being our guests, and helping us create awareness about people living with disabilities, especially women, including them in the society. My guest for today has been Shamsiyyah Umar, the founder of We Are Special Foundation, an NGO that advocates for the inclusion of persons with disabilities. Finally, we have women with disabilities who are doing great things in Nigeria. Lois Auta, who has been confined to a wheelchair due to polio, a 2014 Mandela Washington Fellowship alumna. She has been promoting the participation of women with disabilities into human rights-based development in Nigeria. What of Omolai Obose, who won gold in powerlifting, shattering her own world record at the Paralympics Games? And our guest, Shamsiyyah Umar, who has been doing great things through her foundation, We Are Special. It is time to put an end to this state of affairs and make a firm commitment to reverse the exclusion of women and girls with disabilities. The very first step to be taken in this direction is to acknowledge the untapped strength and resilience of women and girls with disabilities so they can lead the way forward. I'll leave you with this quote by Lois Auta. Women with disabilities need to be included in everything because women and girls with disabilities have a voice and they have rights. They have the talents and gifts to participate as citizens in any country. That's the much we can take on the program today. Until next week, bye-bye.